Okay, welcome. So my name is Angela. I am a Let's Get Ready course facilitator. And today's workshop is going to be discussing college fit and how you can go about researching and building your college list. We also have our moderator, Adeline, here today. So she might be asking for your name, responding to comments, just helping me out in that way as well. So here is the workshop overview for today. Again, the goal for today is to talk about how you can approach building a solid college list and reflecting on what might personally be important to you when thinking about potential schools where you will be successful. Sorry, I can't see. Okay, so we're going to start with discussing what makes a good school and end with talking about how fit will have you thrive in college. Then I'll pass it over to Sarah, who will discuss your how Let's Get Ready will support you next year when you are seniors. Cool. So a little bit about me. Some of you might know me as you probably might have joined my other workshops, but my name is Angela. I am a sophomore studying at Barnard College, Columbia University. I am a biochemistry major with a women's gender and sexuality studies minor. I am on the pre-dental track, which is very parallel to the other pre-health tracks. I'm from Staten Island, New York. I grew up there as a first-generation student from a low-income family. And a little fun fact about me was that when I was in your shoes as like a junior, I searched up on Google like the top New York City colleges because my only standards were that I wanted to stay close to home. And I didn't really reflect on the other things other than being in New York City. So hopefully today, through today's workshop, I will be able to convince you not to do that because in hindsight, that wasn't a great idea. So we'll be talking more about that in today's workshop. And as we have in the past, today we also have a $10 raffle card that you can win. It's a Tango gift card, so you can spend a bunch of different places. And you can earn up to 2 raffle tickets today, depending on how many things listed here that you do. And as a reminder, every workshop you attend will also give you 1 point towards our grand prize raffle, where the top prize is a gift card of $100, and there will be 3 winners for that as well. Cool. So diving right into the workshop, the first thing we'll be doing today is thinking about the concepts of what makes a good school. So I want you to sit and think about this, maybe even write it down in one or two sentences. You can type it down in your phone or your laptop, or you can write it down. But think about how you would define a good school or college. And I might ask some of you to share your answers afterwards, but keep in mind throughout this activity that, a good school or college, like I'm, air quoting it for a reason, it's very subjective and there is no right or wrong answer. It's just completely up to you. So take a few minutes for that. I'll bring us back in like a minute or two. Oops. And I'll ask some of you guys to share. Cynthia, we are just doing a quick little activity. We just started. We're defining what a good school or college is to everyone. So taking a minute for that, and I'll ask some of you to share. Cool. You can type it in the chat if you're done. You can come off mute. I'll take a few of you to share your answers if you would like to. Just whenever you are ready. Someone said, oh, no problem, Sarah. Someone said a college that has the best programs for the major you're interested in. That's a really good answer. Yes, I think we will. I'm trying to recall if that's mentioned in the workshop. It might be somewhere, but definitely something that is very important to, in my opinion, to look at. Yeah. Hector said resources and assets. Growth potential. Great. These are really good answers. High graduation rate. Really good. Perfect. I didn't even in high school, I don't think I like even realized that colleges posted like their high school graduation rate until pretty later on. So really good things to think about. Great. And again, this is very subjective. So you can have different things from each other, which you guys do. And that is great. Perfect. Thank you all so much for sharing. So again, our definition of good can come from a lot of different factors and will probably be different person to person. These factors can be internal or external, or maybe even a combination of both. And it's very normal to have both internal and external motivators. Some motivators can even overlap, as you see on the slide. So earning potential, if you can spot on this slide, is on both internal and external like sides of my slide. So along with that, a lot of the factors that you are thinking about could also fall into both categories. It doesn't have to be just strictly one. And something that I also wanted to point out is a note on prestige. So the reputation of a school can definitely be important to some people. And, you know, as based on my little fun fact about me, it was also important to me in high school, but it should not solely determine your interest in a school. There should be other factors along with that, if that is one of your, the factors that you are considering about college. And we'll be talking more about why today. So finding a school that aligns with what motivates you the most will help ensure a good fit and your success in completing college, which is our ultimate goal. And also, sorry. Also, internal motivators are shown to have a greater impact on long-term success. So try to pay extra attention to those as well. In this section, we're going to talk about the most important features of a solid college list and 5 steps that you can take to build yours. And we'll do some reflecting on what's important to you personally and talk about what to do if you want different things than maybe what your loved ones want for you. And you'll also be receiving texts with resources over the next few weeks that will help you take steps towards this goal as well. So this activity will definitely not stop just here. Cool. So have any of you heard of these terms before, as in fit and match? So I would like you to chat in or emoji react on Zoom. A thumbs up if you've heard of fit and match and you have a general idea of what they mean. A medium, so I think it shows up as like the shaka emoji for if you've heard of it, but you don't really know what they mean. And a thumbs down if you've never heard of fit and match in the context of college. So you can chat it in or you can Zoom react, whichever one is easier. Let me know if you don't know how to do that too. I feel like it might be confusing. Okay. We have one response. Cool. Okay, so a few of you have not heard of it before. Cool, that's fine. I think it really depends on, you know, your surrounding, your counselor. So those are also very much going to be different for every person. Yeah, and you might have heard of them, but don't really know what they mean. Great. Okay. Perfect. So no worries if you don't know, we're going to kind of dive deeper into that. So um, these are some reflection questions that are examples of how to begin thinking about these terms and how they apply to list building, which is the main goal of today's workshop. And in this section, we'll be diving more deeply into fit and match individually and how you can balance them in building your college list. Cool. So let's define fit. The definition of fit is a college that aligns with your needs, interests, values, and preferences. And the list factors listed here are just some examples of things that you might consider. And for example, like my main concern when it came to colleges were cost of attendance, academic support, as someone had mentioned, and specific programming and closeness to home. But I also had many friends who cared much more about things like campus culture, the social scene, and networking opportunities. So our college lists obviously looked very different based on our priorities, and that was how it was for basically everyone. And no one really had the same exact college list. So it's going to be very subjective and personal to you. So we just discussed a little bit about fit, and now we will discuss match. And match is largely about comparing your GPA with the GPA of average admitted students at a school, which is something that's pretty easy to Google. And that's the same case for SAT and ACT scores. You can usually just pop it into Google and for a specific school, and it'll tell you the average score. And community colleges are usually less selective and don't require minimum GPA or test scores to get in, but some programs within a community college, for example, like nursing programs, might have their own standards, and that's something you definitely want to look into if you're interested in attending a community college. But match factors like GPA and test scores are only, one part of your whole application, and admission teams are going to be reviewing your whole profile and value other strengths in addition to your grades. So while these stats are going to be obviously a part of it, it's not going to be your whole holistic profile. Okay, could I please have a volunteer read this slide for me? Yes, Chloe.
Definite. Oh, okay. Academic match supports you in getting accepted into college. Fit supports you in graduating.
Perfect. Thank you so much. A follow-up question for that, Chloe, either you could answer or someone else could jump in. Why or how do you think Match might support you in graduating college? How would it do that?
I think match can help you because you can be in a really good school where people and jobs, but it could be a lot of work and it could be the day could be very stressful. And if there's not if you don't have the accommodations you need, and you're having a life where you actually enjoy being at college and actually enjoy doing the schoolwork and enjoy the people, I think it will make a much better experience and it'll help you have a more success higher graduating than maybe say a Harvard school where you're not used to all of the work.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah, you mentioned match, and I think you also talked about fit as well as in like the community at college. Yeah, so both can, support you in graduating college, as you said. We are going to focus a little bit more about fit and how like you mentioned, the community at a college and like your environment, the accommodations that you might need, for example, how those can support you in graduating for college and provide you with the things that you need in order to do that. But thank you so much. Perfect. So yes, now that was a great answer. But now we're going to dig deeper into fit, as I've mentioned, and start talking about how fit, start thinking about how some of the things that might matter for you when it comes to fit and how it could like be applied to the college environment. Good. So we'll start by zooming into one of the more fun and interesting aspects of fit, which is school vibe. So you're basically, I don't know, this is kind of corny, but like you're vibe checking a school, and there's actually a lot of ways to try and get a sense of the vibe at a school. And one of the ways is to actually check out places where students themselves have shared their opinions and perspectives on these schools. The site on this slide in particular is called Niche, and it offers overviews of colleges. And in one of the section of the website, students have described the typical student at their school. So I'll be sharing some of these and asking you all whether it seems like a fit for you. So again, we're going to utilize the emojis. You can give me a thumbs up, a thumbs down, or like the shaka for the middle. Cool. And you're going to react to like the vibe of the school. It will probably make more sense as I go, but if it sounds good to you, you'll give me a thumbs up. If it like sounds like not a fun place, you give me a thumbs down. Cool. So for Northeastern University, we have, sorry, ambitious, busy, and involved. So give me a thumbs down if that's like, I want to be there. That sounds like such a good vibe. Thumbs down if it's like, not really for me. And we have, I don't know how many of these we have, but we have a few. So I like doing this activity. It's like kind of fun. So you can emoji react in the chat or on the Zoom feature. Cool. Yeah, we're getting a lot of different answers, which is great. I love that you all have like different opinions of these. That's the fun part of it. Cool. So we have all three in the chat, which is great. So Northeastern, we're getting like a mix. Let's see. CUNY Baruch is described as business-oriented, diverse, and fast-paced. How are you feeling about that? My sister went here. She liked it. She went for business. So, thumbs up, thumbs down. So. I feel like I'm auctioning these schools or something. Like 1 for a million. Okay, we're getting some thumbs down. Some, okay, cool. Okay, not very businessy people in here. That's fine. Cool. Okay. Let's see. New Paltz, SUNY New Paltz. There's a lot of different people. Hippie, individual. How are you feeling? Okay. We're still thinking. So we got 1 thumbs down. So cool. Okay. I was also looking at SUNYs. I didn't like them because they were too far from home. But I have friends who go here and they liked it. We have NYU described as driven, independent, and goal-oriented. We're getting some thumbs up for this. Yay! I heard their library is really pretty. Okay. Howard University described work hard, play hard, very fun, but goal-oriented. Thumbs up. Okay, cool. This is a very like business bro thing to say. Work hard, play hard. And last one, we have Temple University, diverse, no typical student, and everyone is their own person. How are you feeling about this last one? Okay, so good. Yay! Okay, fun. So this is definitely something I encourage you to continue doing. It's a good exercise and gives you a good idea of like the vibe of a school. So continue doing this. I also think it's kind of fun. But ultimately, your comfort with the campus culture and the community you form on campus, so like where these kind of words kind of fall in, will be very important factors that will like help support you through college all the way to graduation. So continue vibe checking these schools. Very, very important. Okay, so for the next activity, you're going to go into Zoom and get like kind of technical. So for either phone or computer, there should be a pencil icon to activate the annotate feature. And depending on what device you are using, there might be a stamp option. And if not, there's going to be an arrow feature. So follow this slide and I'll pause here so you can test it out. Test out the stamps on this slide. And we'll utilize that for the next slide as well. Okay. I see someone drawing, which is, I love it, but see if you can also like stamp because that will be a bit more helpful for the next activity. Oh, Sarah. Okay, I guess you can be the only exception. Okay, but yes, arrows, please. Cool. So I'm seeing a few already testing it out. Let me know if you have trouble with that. We will continue. I think, Sarah,
Are
did
we
you just clear
supposed,
the?
sorry,
Mhm.
are we supposed to, so is the check mark the stamp? Is that what it's supposed to be? It just, because when I do,
Any of them is fine. Check mark is fine.
okay, yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Perfect. Okay. So this is where that activity, this like little cool sticker comes in. So for most students, before they begin creating their college list, their school list, they will reflect on their fit factors. Then they use this information to narrow down potential schools that they might be interested in. So fit can encompass. Why does that sound? Why do I sound like I have an accent? It can encompass a vast number of things, from something like academic programs to HBCUs to good school spirit. There's like a bunch of different things. Um, and the factors on this slide are just some common things that students consider. And I want you to, I saw someone just start doing that. You can like sticker stamp the circles that apply to you that are on your fit priority list. So yeah, again, this is a reoccurring theme for this is going to be it's very subjective. There's no right or wrong answers. So go at it, and hopefully this will start to get you thinking about what you prioritize for college fit. Cool. Okay. Yay, it looks so pretty. So we have, I see a lot of, oh, I see a lot of good financial aid, yes. A lot of things related to your major, people like me, big internships. Yeah. I think a lot of these, some of these will like kind of interlock with each other. So, a good financial aid school will probably be low cost. For example, I see city, cool, near home. I can relate to that. And also, as someone else mentioned before, having something to do with your major and being a school being good for your major is probably going to be something that's important to a lot of people. Cool. Um, oh, not. Does someone stand far away from home? Sometimes, usually we have like some people who want to go farther away from home. So again, that's something that's going to be very like different person to person. Cool. Okay. Thank you all so much for doing that and continue thinking about this as well. How do I clear this again? Clear. Cool. Okay. Uh, Okay, so again, one of the things that many of you have highlighted in this activity and something that a lot of students care about is low cost. So next we're going to start talking about financial aid. So we're narrowing in now on financial fit. And you may have seen this slide before in our Why College workshop, but it is also very useful to keep in mind as you build your college list. And good financial fit schools are typically schools that you will potentially pay less for to attend, which is the best way to make college affordable. So you'll want to be on the lookout for schools with like lower sticker prices, good financial aid, and maybe even merit scholarships. And those will help you keep costs low for college. But a little side note is that financial aid does function differently for undocumented students. And so schools with low sticker prices and schools with that meet 100% demonstrated need, for example, for undocumented students is a very good starting point. And scholarships will also be very important for that purpose as well. And we're also going to be sending these slides out over text. And I recommend you coming back to this one in particular to go through the hyperlinks and really look into those because no one really wants to be in debt. So come back to this slide and hopefully you can like take some time to go over these links. Cool. So fit is basically us making sure the school we pick will not only help us succeed, but thrive in college for the next 4 years. And a good fit school should have the right appliances and amenities to help us enjoy our time and also survive in college. And now we're going to explore what considering match in your list and your list building process can look like. So after considering fit and making a list of potential schools you're interested in, you'll want to make sure that your list also includes safety, match, and reach schools. However, most of your schools should be a match school. So the numbers of each school, each category that you should apply to doesn't need to be the exact numbers included here in the slide. But what's more important is to be sure that you have each of these categories reflected on your college list, and your list must have and include safety schools. That's very important. So if you're thinking about attending community college, for example, this is very likely a safety option since most community colleges have no minimum GPA and don't require the SAT or ACT. But again, some programs at community colleges are going to be more competitive, as I have mentioned before. So look into that if you're interested in them. And while you don't have to apply to as many colleges, if your plan is to ultimately go to a community college, I encourage you to add some four-year schools in your list as well, if possible. Because sometimes you'll even pay less at a four-year college if they have a good financial aid to offer you in comparison to a two-year community college. But keep in mind that if you have your heart set on a school, but your scores are just like below their averages, this could actually be a really good time and chance for you as well to set some academic goals for this year and next year to try to meet those averages. So this is like, I feel like the list for safety, match, and reach schools are going to like shift. It's not just set in stone. They change as your stats change. So admission calculators can also help you look at how you compare match-wise with the data colleges provide on their admitted students. But this data is limited to what is more easily quantifiable. So in other words, like test scores, GPA, the number of honors, AP, IB courses that you take, easily quantifiable data. But again, this is only one part of your entire application. And while it does hold weight, so do your essays and so do your extracurriculars and other unquantifiable things. So basically, this chart just shows a pattern usually seen with accepted and rejected students. But you'll also notice if you look at the table that there are plenty of variabilities as well. So definitely try to take those data points with kind of like a grain of salt. And there's really no knowing whether you'll actually get into a school or not until you actually apply. So use this table with a grain of salt is what I'm trying to say. And the niche calculator shown here on this link asks you to make a free account. And once you do, you'll have access to their tools and resources. So I use this in college, not in college, in high school, and my counselor like shared the link with us and it was very helpful. So definitely I recommend doing that. And now that we've explored both fit and match, hopefully you have a better idea of what those things are. We're now going to talk about how the two fit together when you're building your college list. So to reiterate, match is kind of like your likelihood of getting into a college, while fit is how well the college will be able to fulfill your specific needs in succeeding in college. Therefore, it's very important to learn how to balance both fit and match while building a college list. And a good analogy for this might be something like planning for a vacation or trip. So consider match as what's needed to get to a certain destination. So think about things like passports and plane ticket prices. And if you don't have those things that are usually required to get to this particular trip destination, you probably won't be able to go. So very similarly, it's if a very, let's say, selective school usually accepts students with a GPA above 3.9 and you don't have that, you'll want to consider that school as a reach school that you shouldn't really bank on getting into. Then, along with this like same scenario analogy, consider fit as being similar to considering the type of clothing that you're going to pack. So if you're going to a place like Hawaii for a trip, for example, you need a summer wardrobe for that Hawaii heat. But if you already know that you don't like wearing summer clothes, maybe you only like wearing, sweatshirts and sweatpants and not really tank tops, then you might even reconsider this entire trip to Hawaii as a whole. And similarly, if a school is very focused on academics, but kind of lacking in, let's say, the social scene, you might not want to go there if networking or school clubs are extremely important to you. So here's a little quiz. This is like my little question that I put in my speaker's notes, would looking at a school's emphasis on sports as an aspiring student athlete be considered looking at school fit or school match? So let's say you're a student athlete, like applying to play basketball, and you want to see how good a school is for sports. Would that be considered looking at school fit or school match? What do you all think? Yes. I have school fit in the chat. Yes. Perfect. Good. That's the right answer. That's the answer that I was looking for. Good. So you're looking at something that meets your specific preferences and your specific like priorities for college, what you are trying to get out of college. And then you're taking that into consideration when you're looking for different colleges and adding them to your college list. Good. How many times have I said college in that one sentence? Perfect. Thank you all so much. So to wrap up the section, here are 5 steps to building a college list, each of which Let's Get Ready will be here to support you with. So list building is often a very kind of like repetitive process of thinking about your priorities, like back to a knowledge analogy of the trip. This is similar to thinking about possible trip destinations and potential outfits that you'll be bringing with you. So that's thinking about your priorities. Then identifying potential schools of interest based on these preferences, then researching different schools, then bumping schools off the list. So back to our analogy, this would be similar to like cutting out trip destinations that don't suit your temperature or weather preferences, for example. And then adding more potential schools to research on back onto your list. And I want to point out step number 5 specifically is to be sure that as you take schools off your college list, you still want to have safety, match, and reach schools represented on your list. And it's especially important that you don't remove all the safety schools. So as you're doing this process, make sure you always have safety schools present on your list. Good. Now we're going to talk about friends, families, and guardians, and a few of the instances where they might have an opinion about your college process. Okay, so how many of you have family or other loved ones who have opinions on where you go to school? So you can give me the raise hand feature on Zoom, or you can chat it in. Cool, we're seeing a few hands. Any more? I'm gonna wait a few minutes just in case you guys are figuring it out. Cool. Perfect. Thank you all so much for sharing. Yes, this is a very valid concern and, like beyond concern, just like scenario for a lot of students where loved ones have opinions on where you go to school. Perfect. So thank you all so much for sharing. This scenario, again, differs person to person, and oftentimes loved ones have opinions because they care, but it can definitely also take its toll on a lot of students. And a little like anecdote for myself, when I was applying to colleges, I also had a lot of pressure, like familial pressure from my immediate family, to go to like a more well-known school, along with like, I feel like pressure from my peers as well, just how people talk about college as a whole, getting into certain colleges. So there was definitely that pressure for me as well, as there is for a lot of students. But remember that there is no such thing as normal, and we all have different experiences of family, of this pressure. And often it's a mix of the good and the difficult. And your experiences and feelings are just as valid as the next person's. But along with that, while they can make up a part of it, our support system can go so far beyond our biological families. It could, again, extend to your peers, it could extend to your mentors, etc. So perfect. Thank you all so much for sharing that. Could I please have a volunteer read this slide for me? Yes, Alyssa.
Yes, being true to yourself, to ourselves, what's most important is what it's that we are true to ourselves. For some of us, that may mean drawing upon family motivations or loved ones' desires for us. For others, it might mean choosing to pursue a path that it's different than what our family or others may want us to do.
Yes, perfect. Thank you so much. Very, again, this goes back to kind of like the subjectiveness of it, how everything about this whole process is usually different for everyone. So being true to ourselves might mean drawing strength from the desires of our families, and the desires that our families have for us, or it might instead mean choosing to pursue a path that is different from what they want from us. But try again being true to few key things that matter, but what am I trying to say? Trying to be true to the few things that we know matter most to us will be very helpful in guiding us in making the decisions ahead of us. So yes, thank you so much for reading that. Perfect. So when there are differences of opinion. So on this slide, there are some things to keep in mind if this does come up, and some things that will hopefully help you approach this conversation with family in a more constructive way. And if you ever want to also talk through this, or talk through something that's coming up, or maybe even prep for some of these conversations with your family, your coach and I are also always here for you to help guide you through that process as well. Good. Okay, so we will have a little 5-minute break and we will come back at 6:50. So go ahead, drink some water, use the bathroom, whatever, and stretch. We will be back at 6:50. Thank you. So in the previous section, we talked about FIT supporting you in graduating. So this means that you have thought about what you might need in college, which is ultimately the first step into looking for schools that have those things to offer. And in this next section, we're going to start to anticipate and learn how to prevent some of the most common challenges that students have while in college. Okay, so we're going to have a poll that asks if you agree or disagree with this question. So not this question, this statement. So the statement is schools should be responsible for providing not only academic support, but also social, emotional, and physical supports. So you will all be voting on whether you agree or you disagree. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of agrees, which I think if I were voting, I would also put in that vote. But yeah, I think a lot of students prioritize and think it's important that schools do provide that social, emotional, and physical support. But again, this goes back to like this whole thing being very subjective and having no right or wrong answers. So some students might think that, you know, a school should or prioritize the academic side of a school and maybe like not care as much about the other supports that are there. So again, like, yes, I think you all are seeing the results. Again, this is subjective, but I see that you all have said agree. So yeah, that is good. I feel like that is kind of the activity that relates very heavily to the activity that we did before about fit and what you all are looking for in college. But the truth is that getting into college is only the first step, and graduating is, you know, the real goal to attending college. So finding the right school for you is about finding a college that you feel confident will support you in graduating. And for most students, what supports them in graduating goes far beyond what they're learning in the classroom. And even if we think that colleges should support our physical, social, and emotional needs, they won't all do so. Or they might not do so in the way that you need them to. And what we each need is very different. But if you reflect on your own needs and think and look for schools where there's an alignment with your priorities, your needs, and their values, you'll likely be able to find some colleges that are really trying to meet this statement of supporting students even outside of academics. Perfect. Thank you all so much for participating in that. So these are some obstacles that college students share that they sometimes don't know how to navigate past and can lead students to leave college. But this really shouldn't be a make or break issue. These really shouldn't be make or break issues, sorry, plural. They are usually things that you can prevent or move through, which Let's Get Ready will be here to help support you with and guide you through. In addition to that, you'll also want to strategically choose colleges that feel like they have the supports that are most important to you, and thinking about what can support you to troubleshoot these challenges if they do arise. So in other words, kind of thinking about your coping strategies, what helps you best, and what you know has helped thus far. So I would like you all to take a moment to reflect to yourself if any of these things on this slide are on your radar or concerns for you already. So take around like 30 seconds for that, reflecting on your own like obstacles that you have faced or kind of like think you will face. And in this section, while you're thinking about that, in this section, we're going to talk about why you don't need to think of these concerns as barriers to going to and staying in college. But it's good to kind of keep them in mind so you're like ready if they do arise. Perfect. So, okay. So what is something you do now with like the previous question in mind? What is something you do now that has helped you succeed academically? You can chat it in, or you can unmute if you would like to, but yeah, kind of think about what has helped you already, and hopefully what you want to do in college is build on these strategies that you already use, along with possibly trying out new ones, like new methods, and those can usually, like going about that will help you move through college academically as well. So if you would like to share what has worked for you academically so far, you can type it in the chat. Let me know. I might also be taking notes because I've been trying to do new things academically myself as well. I'm always up for new niche strategies. I feel like the most fun one I've seen was on, I hate referencing TikTok, I really do, but there was this one TikTok that was like, I like pretending like I'm the last survivor and I'm trying to like gain all the knowledge in order to save the world or something. I don't know. It was kind of funny. Yes, so I'm seeing a strong network. Yes, mentally supporting you. Planner. Ooh, good. Yes. Oh my God, I love that. Yes, asking for help is so important. And I wish more students like felt like that was okay. I feel like the environment that I'm in, a lot of the times it's like you can't ask for help. Like that's silly. You can't ask for help. I love that. Study cram sessions. Oh my gosh, the ASMRs. I've always seen those. I haven't tried them yet. So maybe I will. Split larger assignments into small ones. Yes, good one. I love that. It like helps you feel more like yes, I'm doing something. I love that. Great. So these are really good study habits. Say to myself to motivate myself. Yeah, good. I like that. Yeah, these are really good like strategies that you already have that hopefully you can build on in college, and like it's good that you know like what already works, and also like listen to each other. Maybe you can try out some of like these other ones that your peers have been putting into the chat. I'm definitely going to try the ASMR one. That sounds fun. Yeah, so build on these strategies, try out new ones. That usually helps a lot with going through college academically. And also selecting colleges with good institutional support, building on your network and communities of support once you're in school, and learning things that you can do during any challenging moments that do arise will all deepen your capability to navigate any challenges that arise in college. Perfect. Thank you all so much for that. So we've talked about a whole bunch of things that students share becomes a stumbling block in their college journey. And some of them might feel relevant to you, others might not. But summing it all up, these are things that you can do to be sure your preferences are always, being considered. And it's really about just reflecting on your own needs and preferences and keeping them in mind while you're looking into different schools and researching different colleges. And in the next few slides, we'll be talking about some of the ways that the supports at a school, can provide the different supports that a school provides, how they can constitute a good fit for you and ensure your success in college. And these considerations can also help inform you about what schools you'll want to add to your college list. So we're kind of just diving deeper into what we've been doing. And the way that you want academic support to look will be very personal to you. So all of these things may not be important to you, as in all of the things on the slide, but if one or two of them are, then you can look at the schools that you're interested in to see what they provide and if they do provide that kind of support that you're looking for. Something important to know is that in college, unlike in high school, students generally have to arrange their own accommodations for any learning disabilities. And this means providing the college with documentation so they can set you up with those accommodations that you need. And a common example of this is extra time on exams and tests, which is something that can be very helpful. And most schools have an office in place to help with this, but it can be helpful to check this out as you're putting your school list together if relevant to you. Yeah, I have actually gotten academic support in college as well. During my first week of college, I broke my ankle. So I got physical and academic support because I was in a wheelchair and I was having trouble getting to class on time. So I had to reach out to that office at my school and they provided me different kind of accommodations that professors usually give out for these kind of situations. So very good to look into. Something that I didn't consider in high school, that ended up being something that I needed to utilize. So yes, definitely look into this, and especially if you know you need accommodations for college. Cool. Here are some resources that you might not have thought about, but are probably worth learning about. Many of them are ways to make money while in school and ways to build your resume so that when you do graduate, employers will immediately value your experience. And I feel like college is usually a really good time to do this because jobs now, first of all, the job market is awful. But jobs now in general often look for previous job experiences, even for fresh graduates in college, from college, sorry. So, which doesn't make sense because a lot of these jobs are entry-level jobs, but they still want you to have prior experience. But that is the scenario, the kind of scene that we're looking at right now. So in college, you can use the fact that you're still a student to leverage different opportunities and to get your foot in a lot of different fields that you're interested in exploring. So definitely use that to your advantage, the fact that you are a student. So you can really rack up your resume and beef it up. And once you do graduate, it's going to be a lot easier for you to find different opportunities. Cool. I myself, as a low-income student, I've took on a lot of part-time jobs. Right now I'm working in a lab, I'm tutoring. So usually colleges offer a lot of different opportunities for you as well. Definitely look into those. So considering school fit, while considering that, you may also want to consider health support, which includes physical and mental support. And if this is on your radar now, it will allow you to set yourself up for success by only including schools with good health services on your list. And the reality of it is that students often share that college can be a very, not very, but like a lot of students feel that college period can be a challenging period. Why am I stumbling so hard? And stress and anxiety are also very common amongst college students. So even if you aren't thinking about these things now, be prepared to learn things you can do to manage these common feelings. And know that it's also very, very normal to seek out support, as someone had mentioned before. So don't hesitate to reach out for help if you think that that may be helpful to you. Oh. And community, as always, will always, be an important form of support for you in college. Friends, professors, even staff at school can all form a part of your system of support at college. And friends at other colleges, or even older siblings, cousins, external, like, what are they called? Extended family members, might also be a part of that support system as well. And it's good to think about who's a part of our support system and reach out to them now and in the future. And it's also important to consider what schools might have a community that can offer the types of support that you think will be most valuable to you in college. So, Sarah, I made that little vision board that we talked about. Here are some things that have helped me succeed in college myself. So a few of these, I'll point some of them out. I have surrounded myself with people that I look up to and who inspire me to work harder, which I'm very grateful to have around me. Um, I also really like changing study and work sceneries. So I like going to cafes. I like switching libraries. Like I mentioned before, I like to explore new study techniques. And recently I've been really getting into like drawing on whiteboards. I feel like that kind of helps me focus a lot more. And also I like listening to new Spotify playlists. I like making vision boards, being an inspirational, like being in that mindset. I also, someone mentioned this, using Notion and like a planner. I really like using Google Calendar. I put like my own, like one of the weeks that I had on here. That was an especially busy week, so like not every week looks like that, but I like making it look pretty. Yes, I love Legally Blonde. Yes, I just love looking at and like watching people who have succeeded, and I'm like, okay, that's going to be me. Yeah. So these are just like some of the ways that I like to go about college. I like taking breaks. I feel like this is a common theme in this vision board that I have here. I think it's very important. So yes, do take some of these if you feel like that would be helpful for you. And now we're moving into the last section of our workshop before we hear from Sarah about what support Let's Get Ready can provide you all with next year. So as much as schools can provide support for you, finding your own path and community will be equally as important. And also identifying what will help you have the most fulfilling college experience will help you choose the right school for you as well. So to wrap up, we're going to think about fun and fulfillment in college and in thriving in college. By definition, to thrive is to prosper and to flourish. If you envision yourself thriving in college, what would you imagine? So I want you to take about 2 minutes to again do a similar activity to what we started this workshop doing. So you're going to write down a little reflection for yourself of what you see for yourself when you're thinking about thriving in college. Yeah, I think this is very similar to like manifesting, which was a trend, I feel like a while ago. Sorry, my laptop's going to die. Actually, it's not. Why is it so? Anyways, I really like manifesting. Um, I like saying that I will statements, and I think this is kind of somewhat parallel to that. So think about what you see for yourself when you think about yourself thriving, and write this down. So you might want to use this little like sentence starter of during my time in college, I want to or I will blank. And then you can like go about doing that. You don't have to share this. This is kind of like more of a personal activity that I would like you all to do and keep on you. I hope you have all gotten some time to work on this activity. You can definitely continue working on it even after this workshop, and I encourage you to. But now, we will now dun, 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 pass it on to Sarah and let her talk more about what Let's Get Ready has for you next year.
Thank you, Angela. If you can go to the next slide. So thank you. So hi everyone, my name is Sarah. I am a program manager at Let's Get Ready. I work with your facilitators, so Angela and Aya, who presents on different days. And I also work with your coaches who have been texting you around preparing for college applications. So today I'm presenting to tell you more about what we have in store for you during your senior year. But overall, our goal is to help you transition from high school to college, from the very start with college applications, to the very finish when you are enrolled and you're picking your housing or classes. And then from there, you'd move on to our success program for college support. Next slide, please. So these are the programs that we have for our high school students at Let's Get Ready. You all may be familiar with the junior side of things because you're all currently a part of those. So in core, Access Core for our juniors, you receive text messages from a college student coach. And we also invite you to our monthly-ish workshops. And there is the SAT prep for those students who want SAT classes to prepare for their SATs. And then in our senior year, there are two programs. There is the Core and Core Plus. In Core, you'll receive weekly text. These are scheduled by an LGR staff following a curriculum, but this is really to help you stay on track. But every time you text back, you will receive support from a college student coach. In Core Plus, it is a lot more personalized and high touch, where you would not only get text messages that are crafted by your coaches, but also monthly calls and emails. The coaches on the Core Plus side personalize their mentorship and support with you based on where you're at with your college journey. A major difference that I do want to point out between Core and Core Plus during your senior year is that Core coaches can have anywhere from 700 to 1,000 students, so it can be a little hard to keep track of your progress and provide specific follow-up support. So if you don't initiate or mention needing anything from your core coach, it may be hard for them to notice if anything is amiss or if you did need support in any areas. So it's important for you to reach out when you do need help. On the Core Plus side, the coaches have around 30 students and can easily keep track of your progress and follow up more regularly. This isn't to say that the core coaches do any less work. They also work very hard to ensure that you're on track and will make initiatives to follow up and check in on you. It's just that they have a little bit more students to keep track of. Next slide, please. So just deeper dive into Core and Core Plus in the next few slides. Just recapping, in Core, you are typically automatically enrolled into this program unless you opt in for Core Plus. So the support that you received in Core are weekly text messages from our team with reminders, tips, and resources to help you navigate the college and financial aid applications. And occasionally we'll check in on you in general just to see how you're doing or if you had any plans for break and things like that. Whenever you respond to those weekly messages, a college student coach will be there to respond, support, and answer any questions that you may have. On the next slide, you'll see a core text example. Angela, if you can go to the next one. Thank you. So this is typically the weekly messages that you would get. Sometimes they can be a little long, but we want to make sure you get as much information as you can. But our texts aim to inform you about something in relation to your college application. We also encourage students to engage with their coach. So sometimes we'll ask questions around your goals, plans, or just a fun icebreaker. We want to make sure that you're comfortable enough with your coach so that you can ask any questions whenever you may have them. We also want to make sure that you're doing well overall with things inside and outside of school, so it's not always college heavy. This text example here is providing some information about reviewing financial aid award letters because currently our seniors are preparing to receive acceptance letters and they're reviewing their own award letters. There's a link provided here to help them understand the letter because the language for financial aid letters can be very intimidating or confusing. Next slide. So this is a bit more about our Core Plus program. Like I mentioned before, it is a bit more in-depth and personalized to each student. So if you think you'll want this more personalized and in-depth support, then I highly encourage you to apply or sign up for Core Plus. The Core Plus coaches will be your own dedicated college student coach. They'll get to know you, you'll get to know them, and this really helps them mentor you and guide you through the process. They do this by personally checking in on you with text messages and monthly video or phone calls. They also send out emails with more resources and scholarships. And they'll also keep tabs on anything that you've mentioned and follow up with you throughout the year to make sure that you are on track. Especially if you mention things like upcoming events, competitions, or goals. They like to know how you're doing and how those things went. Essentially, however much you put into your communication with your coach, you'll receive just as much from them, if not more. This program is really for those students who want a high-touch relationship with a trained college student coach who can guide them step by step through the college and financial aid application process, as well as really mentor them throughout their senior year so that they are all around ready for the transition into college. Students who sign up for this program are matched with their coach in September, whereas in Core, we start a little early in August. Next slide. Thank you. So this is a student testimonial from, I believe, 2 years ago survey. We definitely need to update this quote. But this one stuck out to me a lot. The student had said the whole college process seemed overwhelming at first, but my coach was motivating. Whenever I was confused about something, I would ask her, and before I knew all the steps, I was done with the application process. On the next slide, oh, I think I mixed up my slides a little bit. Here's a Core Plus example. Next slide. This is a Core Plus text example. So this coach crafted this message and sent it out to the student. They did a general check-in because it was February and they wanted to make sure they knew where the student was at with their application process. Once the student responded, the coach took a moment to celebrate the student and reflect back on kind of their progress throughout the year. And then the coach is able to track all of this information that the student told them and then kind of use it as a guidance for later on to make sure that students are completing whatever is next. So this student here mentioned that they applied for the FAFSA and CSS profile. So this coach knows, okay, cool, they're done with that step. Now we'll focus on completing applications or whatever else. They're able to track all of this easily because they only have 30 students on their caseload. Cool. That is all for this slide. Next slide, please. These are some additional feedback that we got this year, actually, from our current high school seniors. There's a lot of quotes here. I'll summarize it so you don't have to read it all, but feel free to. But in general, a high percentage of the students agree that they have a positive relationship with their coach, and also a high percentage of them recommends LGR to other students. So from these comments, you can see that coaches' support can be very thorough and specific to each student, and meetings can really help students work on tasks together. A lot of these comments mention working on applications and/or reviewing essays. On the next slide, you will see our sign up for Core Plus. So if you are interested and you would like to sign up for a Core Plus coach, you can scan the QR code or click on the link that I will put into the chat. If you don't think you want or need much support, you don't have to do anything. You'll automatically be signed up for Core, and then you'll get weekly text from us starting in August. Any questions or concerns at the moment? I did speed through this. I apologize. If you do have any questions later, I am not the program manager for Core Plus, but Daisy and Joe are, and they are lovely people, so definitely feel free to reach out to them. This is their email. And if you have any questions and you forgot the email, you can always text your coach, and they can always let me know. Cool. I'll pass it back to you, Angela.
Cool. Okay, perfect. So, in closing, we talked about a lot of things today. We talked about fit and match, what makes a good school. We talked about building a college list and how fit and match looks in that. So hopefully you took a lot about those things away, and hopefully you can also utilize the little study tips and methods, de-stressing methods that I shared and your peers also shared as well. I also would like you all to further connect with your coaches because, you know, these activities don't end here. And you should also continue doing a lot of these with the links on these slides and, you know, during your own time as well. So with that all being said, it was so nice to have you all here. I will take any questions that you have for me about any of the contents as well. And, oh, sorry. We also have a feedback form, forgot about that. So your feedback really helps us, and we edit our slides every year based on your feedback. So please fill that out. Adeline put the link into the chat so you can access that, or you can scan the QR code here.